What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to continue looking at the growth of the United States after the American Revolution. We won. Now what? We discussed. We have to figure out this government thing. We set up the Articles of Confederation. We talked about that there were a lot of issues in there that you were able to see, but they didn't necessarily see in the moment. But today we're going to look at one of the positives of the Articles of Confederation, and that is the Northwest Ordinance, which was a problem, and where the Articles of Confederation gave a legitimate solution. All right, so first, what we're going to look at is the problem. So the problem, get here so you can see, is that you have a piece of land that was obviously not a perfect square, but I can't draw very well. That was called the Northwest Territory. And the Northwest Territory was unclaimed lands that was kind of boxed in. You had the Great Lakes to the north. You had Pennsylvania to the east. You had the Ohio River to the south, and you had the Mississippi River to the west. And so this chunk of land within this region is desired. States want it. And so what you have is you have multiple states that all of a sudden start claiming it. State 1, I claim. State 2, I claimed it first. State 3 says, I was already here. I was here first. And then you had other states that didn't know that if they wanted parts of the Northwest Territory, they had to claim it. So you had State 4, we can just claim it. And so you have the Northwest Territory is causing a problem because there's these state disputes over who has what portion, region of that. And so all of this brings us to our solution. And this is one of the positives of the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation, if you remember, one of the things the federal government was allowed to do Articles of Confederation they were allowed to solve state issues, state disputes. They were allowed to come in and argue or settle state disputes or state arguments. And so what the Articles of Confederation, what the federal government comes up with, is all claims go to Congress. And will be sold. So all claims to the land will go to Congress, and Congress will sell the Northwest Territory. All right? And so this sale leads to what is called the Northwest Ordinance. All right, and the Northwest Ordinance has a couple of things within it. So, first is land distribution. How is the land split up? Number one, or A, distribution. All right. So the land had to be distributed in some way. And so you have three options of what you could buy. Option number one was the largest option. Option number one was a 6x6 square. Six miles by 6 miles. And this was called a township. Okay? And that township was, like I said, it was the largest division. So it was the biggest amount of land that you could buy, and it was 36 square miles. Which were called sections. Now, you could also buy a section. So if you take this township and you break it up, all right, into 36 equal parts. All right, one box was known as a section. Now you could buy a section on its own, and a section was 640 acres. All right, now, just like the township is broken up into sections, the sections are broken up into acres, which brings us to our third option of what you could buy, which is an acre. And an acre was relatively similar to the size of a football field. Similar to the size of a football field, and each acre sold for $1. Oh, how lovely that would be today. But each acre sold for $1, and the average farm equaled 40 acres. All right, and the average farm equaled 40 acres. So sometimes you have people that would buy entire townships, you would have people that would buy entire sections, and then sometimes people would just buy 40 acres within a section to build or start a farm on. And so that is how the land was distributed. The next issue that comes up is education. So B is, what does education look like? All right, and education was simple. The land, whether it was a township, each township that was sold, made money for the government, and a portion of that money funded education. And there you have the starts of the public school system. So each township made the government money, and a portion of that money would go to fund education. The next thing that had to be clarified was statehood. How could these lands become a part? How could these lands potentially become a part of the United States? So statehood was a big issue, and so it was often done by population. And it started, step one was getting 5,000 adult males. It had to be males. I don't know why. It's because early America is sexist. I don't know. But it had to be 5,000 males. And once you got to 5,000 males, you could elect a legislator. You could elect officials that could go to Congress. They couldn't vote in Congress, but they could at least speak before Congress. So they would elect a legislator. And like I said, that legislator could inform government officials what's going on in this portion, but they could not vote. Then, as you grew, once you equaled 60,000 adult males, again, still had to be males, you could write a state constitution. You could write a state constitution, all right? And that state constitution would then be sent to Congress. And if Congress said yes, that equaled you becoming a state, which was the ultimate goal. All right, so statehood began by people buying sections of land, growing in population, to where you could elect a legislature and discuss what's going on in your region. Once your population continued to grow, you could write a state constitution. If it was approved by Congress, you would become a state within the United States. And so the result of this is 5 states. The result is that you get 5 different states. You get Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, it's pronounced Illinois, the S is silent. So you get Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and the last one was Wisconsin. All right, so you got 5 states as a result of the Northwest Ordinance. And another big part of the Northwest Ordinance were that they started establishing what rights people had to be given. So the rights that were given to people in these states by the Northwest Ordinance were the right to a trial by jury, so a trial by jury. You had the right to an education, a free public education. You had religious freedom, so you could be whatever religion you wanted to be, whether that was Christian or Islam or none. You had the right to not have a religion. And then the last one, in the Northwest Ordinance, in these territories, slavery could not exist in the Northwest territory. And so these 5 states would end up being non-slave states. And so, like I said, the Articles of Confederation had a lot of things wrong with it. But the Northwest Ordinance ended up being something that was positive that came out of it. You had a problem, and you had states fighting with one another. They gave the federal government the right to step in when states were fighting. The states, or the Articles of Confederation, the federal government come up with the Northwest Ordinance, which solves 5 issues. How will the land be distributed? Well, it was done by how much you wanted to buy, what size you wanted to buy. Then once that land was bought, how was education going to be distributed to people in that land? Well, every dollar, a portion of each dollar that was used to buy a township went towards education for the people within that township. Then how could these groups apply for statehood? Well, they set out, this is what has to be done in order to become a state. And you get 5 states that emerge as a result of the Northwest Ordinance, which was created by the federal government under the Articles of Confederation, and a discussion about what rights have to be included within that state. And some of these rights, you will see, still exist. Were very important. Set up in the Bill of Rights, Constitution, kind of taken from the Articles of Confederation when it is eventually replaced. But, like I said, the point of today was to discuss that the Articles of Confederation wasn't all bad. There were some positives that come out of it, including 5 states that still exist today. So, you do have an assignment on Canvas. Reach out to me if you have any questions about the assignment, the Northwest Ordinance, the Articles of Confederation, or anything we've discussed so far this year. And as always, have a great day.